Barcelona in 3 words?
Style, representing basically a country, fight with Real Madrid.
It's Ronaldo.
It's Ronaldinho. Still Messi.
On the left. Goal! Goal de Leo
And he has a classic in the Clásicos. Oh, he's in! Barcelona are back on top of European football, and they may just take some shifting. And it's Barcelona who strike first. It's towards Messi! What a goal! What a finish! That could be game, set and match now. The European Cup is back in Barcelona hands.
When I grew up, they were not at their best. And the dominating team when I was a kid was Real Madrid. And let's not forget that for a long time they didn't win on the international stage. It became, in fact, Barcelona is a bit my nightmare because they became great when I became a coach. And I met them a few times. And from then on, it was Cruyff. I played the semi-final of the Champions League with Monaco against Cruyff. Of course, I played again against Barcelona a few times when it was a Guardiola era, and of course Messi and his colleagues. Playing for Barcelona was more than playing football. It has a political meaning, and even today, I think it has a huge political importance, FC Barcelona, because Catalonia is a very proud population who thinks they are, of course, the most important part of Spain, and it's very important always, as we said before, that that dominating aspect with Madrid is very important for them, and football is the tool who can express that.
There were 7 championships for Barcelona between 45 and 1960, but then nothing until 1973. Do you have any idea why? Because
they had average teams. It's always the result. They didn't produce the players in Catalonia that they should have produced. Because as well, that is the golden era of Real Madrid, where everybody who went to Spain wanted to go to Madrid, and certainly as well linked to political aspects. At that period, the foreign players didn't want to go so much to Barcelona, certainly. He played a part in it.
How much did the arrival of Johan Cruyff as a player help Barcelona?
He was a huge player, won 3 times the Champions League with Ajax Amsterdam. But he stayed, I think, in Holland until the age of 27 or 28. And that tells you today, a player like Johan Cruyff, at 18 years of age, would leave Holland, you know. And that, of course, he changed the history of his club, first as a player. I think at the time it was Hennes Weisweiler who was the coach, who did not always agree. But Johan Cruyff turned the whole way of thinking about football in Barcelona. Why? Because he brought his own style from Ajax. Why? Because he had the strength of personality to impose it. And why he had the strength to fight even with the coach. At the time, Hennes Weisweiler was a huge personality, and he did fight against him to impose his own style, because Hennes Weisweiler was a guy who was coming from Mönchengladbach, who was more counter-attacking play, and the style of Holland was more possession and domination game. And it was a huge clash, and in the end, Johan Cruyff not only won the clash, but as well influenced what Barcelona is today, certainly at 90%. And today, Barcelona plays still the Johan Cruyff football.
What did the arrival of Josep Luis Nunez as president do for the club?
At that time, he was a bit the Fiorentino Perez of today, you know. star policy, was very ambitious for the club, and that was certainly as well a turning point in the history of the club. Let's not forget that Barcelona is as well, when we say a club, a political club, because they represent Catalonia, but even internally, it has always been a hugely political club from inside, because they had 100 members on their board with all different influences, you know.
Talking of star players, Maradona was signed in 1982. How well do you think he did with Barcelona?
Look, I remember glimpses of him. He was absolutely outstanding until he got this bad injury from Goicoechea, kicked from the back and broke his ankle. It was a time where football was much more violent than today, because the strikers and the super talents like Maradona were not protected enough. We have histories of Pelé kicked at the World Cups, you know, of Maradona kicked out of a game. And it was a shame, because at the time, Maradona lost his way. During his rehab, he took bad habits in his way of life and got badly surrounded. And I believe it got so bad that Barcelona decided to let him go to Naples.
Cruyff returned in 1988, and he stayed 8 years and won 11 trophies.
When Cruyff comes back to a club, there's only one boss there, you know, and that is when you give the key to Cruyff, you know that from all aspects of the game he will want to dictate, all aspects of the club he wants to dictate. And on the coaching side of Cruyff, that was a decisive moment in the lifespan of Barcelona. That's where his real style came in. And I went to games at Barcelona where he played only with 2 defenders and everybody else attacked. He played Richard Witschke at the time, who was a creative midfielder, left back, and Goicoechea was a right winger, right back, you know, and it was just his style of play, and he got that into the club. And that's where Guardiola started as well to play as a holding midfielder, and he convinced him of his style of play.
And you knew that 1992 team very well, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah, very well. And they had outstanding players. They had Michael Laudrup, you know. I made at the time, when I played against Barcelona, I made a tape with 100 goals from Barcelona. And that's where I realized what a huge player Stoichkov, Michael Laudrup and Romario were. Because Michael Laudrup, when you said, oh, goal, who gave the ball? Michael Laudrup, you know. And it was absolutely amazing.
And what did Bobby Robson and Ronaldo do for Barcelona?
Bobby Robson was a very positive man, a very intelligent man, a very passionate man. And I think he did very well in Barcelona. I think he stayed only 2 years there. And I watched Ronaldo play at the age of 18, and you could see that they call him today Ronaldo Fenomeno. He was already a phenomenal at 18 years of age, and he moved with Robson over there because Robson knew him from Eindhoven.
Then we had Louis van Gaal, who arrived in 1997, won the double immediately, retained La Liga the next season. What were the strengths of his team?
Well, Louis van Gaal is a strong personality who was at the time upcoming manager because he was very successful with Ajax Amsterdam, and he was the manager who was then the manager at the time in Europe. And of course he moved to Barcelona as well, favorized by the fact that Cruyff was so successful, and he went over there strong with his ideas, similar personality a little bit to Cruyff. They are fighting today, but maybe because they are a bit similar in the way they want to dictate things.
After that period, they didn't win anything until La Liga in 2005 under another Dutchman, Frank Rijkaard, and a new president, Joan Laporta. How good was his team?
I lost the Champions League final against Rijkaard with Arsenal, and he was a young manager at the time, but they had a super team. Messi was on the bench in the final in '96, and they had this Iniesta came on during the game in the final, And that was the start of the golden era of Barcelona.
What did you make of the decision to promote Guardiola to head coach?
It was a surprise at the time, and you looked at that with curiosity, and overall it was more than a success, it was a triumph, you know. And I knew Guardiola because he came one day, that he had a special personality, because he came one day when he was still a player, going out from Barcelona. He called me and said, "Can I come and speak to you?" And he came to my home, we had a dinner together, and he told me, "Take me in your team, I would like to play for your team." At that time, I had Patrick Vieira in the team, and I said, "Look," he said, "it will not be a question of money, I just want to play and show you that I can play in your team." And finally I decided not to do it, and he went to Italy. I followed him after that, because I thought this guy has really a special personality, and there was something there that is really special.
How much importance should we give to La Masia when we talk about Barcelona?
I don't like the idea that the football team is created only by buying players from outside. If you want somewhere, they have to feel there's something important for them that is bigger than themselves, and that is a club. And you can only give that if the core of your team is for a long time at the club. And that's why, if you analyze well, all the big modern teams have been successful around that.
14 trophies in 4 years with Guardiola. Was it perhaps the best team that they've ever had?
Yes. It is look, I worked in football at the top level for 30 years, and it's the best team I ever played against. For the speed of the movement of the ball, for their individual quality, for the style of play, it is the best team that I have played against.
How good was Tito Vilanova, who took over, of course?
Look, he was, at the time, very influential with Guardiola, what people said. I don't know that well, but he must have been resented like that at the club. They must have felt that he had something special as well, Tito, because they gave him a responsibility to take over from Guardiola. How good was he? We'll never know, because he died so quickly, and I think it was a sad image to see him when he came back from his sickness, to see that he struggled physically, you know, and still wanted to be there. You need an exceptional passion for the game.
What did you think of the decision to appoint Luis Enrique?
I felt that that was a desire to come back to the Barcelona roots, one of in-house, having been so successful with Guardiola and then with Tito Vilanova. And after last year was a bit less convincing, maybe they were scared to lose a little bit their identity, and I felt that that decision was down to that. For me, he looks to have a desire to play exactly the way Guardiola played and Cruyff played, and he has not been. It's too short to see if he can dictate that way and be efficient. First of all, because the competition in Europe has maybe become tougher as well. You have some other clubs who have top teams, and as well because it's too early for him.
How much will the transfer ban affect him?
Look, I don't know, because I don't know what Barcelona will do about that ban. Will they go to civil court to challenge it? If they don't, I believe it will be a big handicap, because they are banned for the next 2 years, and not to renew a team for 2 years means they can only sell to buy. If they sell, it can only be a big player if you want to buy, you know. So you go into a sensitive area where you think, if I want really to produce money, How much do I take away from the team, and how much does the guy I buy in give to the team?
There is one player they could sell and get a lot of money for.
It is impossible for them to sell Lionel Messi, because if you go to Barcelona, there's a big shopping center at the stadium, and people are queuing every day to buy. And they are queuing every day to buy Lionel Messi shirts. That means the player has become an attraction for all over the world, for people to come and has identified Messi with Barcelona. And that means the sponsors are attracted as well by the fact that Messi is at Barcelona. And it has become for him more than a sporting decision. It is a decision that concerns the commercial department, that gives him a lot of influence that nobody disputes. And you know, it is a stage in the lifespan of a player when he's of that talent, where he has a huge power. When you give a huge power to a person, he's always tempted to take advantage of it. And they feel that their opinion becomes important, that what they say has an influence inside the club. So it's always difficult to keep these players just doing their job, you know. And but on the other hand, you must say Messi, the history of Barcelona is linked with the history of Messi, and is certainly one of the best players ever who has played football.
Claudio Bravo and Ter Stegen. You have one playing in the cup, the other one in the league. Is that a problem for continuity in the defence?
It's a little bit a problem, but it's very difficult today, concentration-wise, for the same keeper to play 60 games per year. And they need sometimes to refresh mentally, because the goalkeeper's job is more mental. So I think it is not a problem. But Ter Stegen had, at the moment, not completely fulfilled the expectations, and Bravo has won a little bit the battle to be considered as a number one.
Are you surprised that Mascherano is very often used as a centre-back?
Yes. It just shows you two things, that it's difficult to find a centre-back, and how important it is at Barcelona to be a good passer of the ball playing out from the back. They try different solutions, but they cannot find centre-backs. And at the end of the day, they play with Piqué and Mascherano, who are all the two. Even Piqué, when he was a kid, we wanted to take him at Arsenal. He was playing in midfield as well. He was a good passer of the ball. And Barcelona passing out from the back is so important that in the end, always Mascherano wins the battle. Alves is part of history, the legend of the club. And he is now as well over 30, and his up and downs he has made maybe a bit more difficult for him, but he's an exceptional football player. I loved Alves. We played against him when he was in Sevilla, and he was absolutely fantastic. And Alba is top-class left-back.
What is required of the three in the middle in this team?
Busquets is the ball winner, the reader of the game, the guy who breaks up the attacks from opponent. And I think they bought Rakitic to replace Xavi. But I don't think at the moment he has the influence that Xavi had in the game. And Iniesta is a guy who can distribute and can make individual differences. He's a little bit a number 10, but he can as well go individually and dribble and pass people, you know. He has power of penetration. But they had an ideal midfield before, plus Fabregas, you know, let's not forget. But the midfield before was Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Fabregas, and two strikers. Today, they have replaced that with Busquets, Rakitic, Iniesta, plus three strikers. So I think the balance is much more difficult to find. First of all, I would say they are South American. When Messi takes the ball and gives to Suarez, it's a South American, gives to a South American, and then he gives to Neymar, it's not a South American. It shows you how much the domination of the strikers in Europe is South American. And then they are all the three world class. And Messi scores more goals than matches played. Suarez nearly scores as many goals as matches played, and Neymar as well. So if it works, it will be unstoppable.
Johan Cruyff?
For me, the born football player who was intellectually, physically, and mentally ahead of the game. He looked like he didn't have stress when he played because he was so convinced of what he said. But it cannot be true because he had very early heart problems. But he was a player. I remember I've spoken with Wim Jensen about him. He said, even when they played in the national team with Johan Cruyff, as a player, he was a coach on the pitch. He told everybody, you mark the number 6 now, and after you mark the number 10 now, after 20 minutes. And he was born like in a football book.
Carlos Puyol.
Carlos Puyol is maybe the piece of a jigsaw that Barcelona has not replaced. For two reasons. One, the mental impact, hugely respected. A born fighter, and as well, he could win the ball back, and he could head the ball. You know, today, when you play Barcelona, and you have a corner for you and a free kick for you, you think they can be caught, they can be vulnerable. But Puyol was a monster.
Romario.
For me, he was Mr. Efficient, because between Ronaldo, phenomenal, and Romario were a bit similar. Because the distances run and the goal scored was exceptional, the ratio, you know. They were not runners, were not workers, but they always had exceptional talent, Romario. And he was a great finisher, a very low center of gravity, smooth change of direction. It didn't look, when you played against him, he changed direction unbelievably, but it was not so obvious. And a great finisher, of course.
Eto'o?
In Europe, one of the most underrated players. Great football player. The first time I noticed him was when he played with Arsenal against Mallorca on 11th of September when that accident happened. And that night we played in Mallorca. And they had Luque, Eto'o up front after the game. Who is this? Unbelievable. And then he was not only an exceptional goal scorer, but he was a team player. It was something strange I never understood because he looked always to be an individualist, Eto'o. But when he was on the football pitch, he was a fantastic team player.
And finally, Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho was the artist who went from Paris Saint-Germain to Barcelona, and he expressed his real talent. I think he went just at the right period of his life to Barcelona. And he played, in fact, against us in 2006 in the Champions League final. And he could inspire, create. It looked as well like the pressure for Ronaldinho was something that he has never met. The Nou Camp is a cathedral. It is a cathedral where I watched some games in many different positions. I tell you, when you sit completely at the top of the stand, the players, you don't even see who it is, you know. And for me, it is just a cathedral because people go there because it's a religion to go there and watch the game. But in some positions, you don't see well at all because it's too big, too huge. And but overall, and again, it is not massively atmosphere. it's quiet. But there are some games when it really matters, where the crowd becomes united, and then you feel, oh, that's Barcelona. But when they play at home against Celta Vigo, Real Sociedad, it is very quiet. They just come to be entertained. When it goes into big games, that's you really meet the Barcelona crowd. In the Guardiola era, we had periods where we were massively unlucky with some decisions there, especially when we lost Van Persie. We were 1-1, we were qualified, and I think they were a team they didn't like. We were a team that Barcelona didn't like to play against. But I must say, at the end, they always won.